Hello everyone, welcome back for another episode of your weekly cup of reflectivity. And yes, we are still cycling the same themes here. I had to laugh this morning. The card that came out was CHET, creation code number 8, once again. So for the past 4 weeks, we have been cycling between creation code 22, TAV, and CHET. And here we are again. And I'm really loving it. This is so perfect. There was so much coming through when I was sitting with this card this morning. And the dimensions that it opened up to me. I really hope that I can bring it all through again, because I did not take any notes, so we'll see what happens. But it's getting really complex here, the connections, the insights. And I love that we keep going back and forth here between TAV, which is as the 22nd letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It's the completion code. It is so multidimensional, so spiritual. And CHET is all about our human experience and our emotional experience, and about coming into the body and having an embodied experience. And that's what I really want to hone in on for this week, to contemplate. Because so last week I really was sitting with the feeling, and by the way, I still am, it's still a theme for me, this sense of that we can already feel this new breakthrough. We can already feel our new reality as it is coming in, and especially as it pertains to our inner beingness, how we are shifting internally and ready to shift into a whole new experience of life, of expressing ourselves in the world, of bringing our passion, our work, our mission into the world, our purpose, and really tapping into that on a much higher level. But how it feels like it's not quite yet showing up fully, at least, in the external third dimensional realm. And there's a reason for that I went into, and I think it might be coming into this session again. So the reason why I'm so excited about having CHET once again in front of me here to receive messages from is because the feeling I'm getting here is very much about chop wood, carry water. Let's make this multidimensional experience real. Let's bring it down to earth. If you've been to my website, you know I talk a lot about bringing the ascension journey down to earth, making it real. And that is what I am all about, truly. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that right now we might find ourselves in a phase, like I mentioned last week, where there might be a sense of exhaustion, of our energies being drained, of perhaps being a little confused, our focus being dissipated, not quite on target. Also, I feel, at least that's what's going on personally in my life, there's a lot of purging going on, or detoxifying. Purging is pretty strong, and some people might experience it like that. But it's a shedding of the old. I'm experiencing it physically right now because I'm doing some detox. But also mentally, emotionally. Because what this phase, this sense of being in between worlds might bring up in us is a lot of our old fears and doubts. All of those stories that we still have, there's still elements left, even after all the clearing and transmutation and integration that we have been going through for so many years. The image I was getting last week was of being wrung out like a sponge, where the last dregs of the old is being expressed, expelled, so that we can become fully available to take in the new energies and soak them up. And that's what I feel CHET is talking about. It's calling us to be present with our daily experience of whatever's going on within and how that might show up externally as well. So not only is it an invitation to really pay attention to the physical vessel right now, doing anything you can to nurture, nourish, cleanse, purify your physical vessel, and also to fall in love with it, to really, oh my gosh, to really feel the gratitude for this beautiful vessel that we get to inherit here, to inhabit in this third dimension. And how amazing it is, how much wisdom it carries. Really, our bodies are so wise, so freaking amazing. They hold so much knowledge and how to keep itself in equilibrium, how to take care of itself, how to balance out. And yet we tend to keep interfering with that natural process. So this is an invitation to come back to the nature of it all, the nature of your physical incarnation, the nature of being a human, or rather being spirit, having a human experience, and to take care of this opportunity that we've been given here. And that very much for CHET includes our emotions. So I am getting a real sense here of spiritual house cleaning, including our emotions, honoring our emotions, because emotions are really, it's our body's language in which it communicates with us and gives us feedback about what's really going on. But also our environment. I was getting that very strongly this morning. Sometimes really it's just time to clear out our closets, to grab that vacuum cleaner, that duster, and to just clear up the clutter in our lives. And doing this in a very physical sense, as in clearing up our homes, our cars, as well as our mental, emotional, and physical bodies, can bring a real sense of peace and accomplishment. And if you are in this phase right now where you're feeling a little overwhelmed by either whatever's going on in your lives right now, that might be a little bit much to handle, or maybe by what's not going on in your lives and the fears that that might bring up when you feel you're ready to take that next step, but nothing seems to be responding in the outer world. So again, being present right here in our physical bodies, in our lives, paying attention to life, our interactions, our situations and circumstances, our immediate environment. How comfortable do you feel in your home, in your body, in your work environment? Again, bringing this ascension journey down to earth really means that. Chop wood, carry water, make it real. Our process of spiritual, emotional, mental evolution or maturation, if you will, takes place right here in all the little nitty-gritties of life. And it's all about what we choose to do with it. That's a whole rabbit hole here in and of itself. I'd love to talk about that another time, but I want to tie in last week's reading with the multidimensional aspects of TAV that I mentioned. I didn't go into detail. But really, what does it mean? Really, what does it mean to be multidimensional? I would like to make this real because there again, it's all about perspectives, right? We could look at it from so many different perspectives, and everyone has a different idea perhaps of what that means. And again, I want to just bring it down to earth. What does it mean to be multidimensional? We all are multidimensional aspects or beings. We find ourselves a lot focused here on the third dimensional aspect, which is including our physical body, our physical environment, making a living, making money, our work. So that is a dimension that most of us are very familiar with, and a lot of us want to escape. Doesn't work that way. Actually, by the way, dimensions, just to break it down here, give you a different perspective. Literally, that is what dimensions are. Dimensions are different perspectives of reality. Or you could also say they are different levels of consciousness vibrating at a different level of density. And they're all interconnected. The dimensions are not some kind of separate linear affair as we tend to think of in our very linear time-space dynamic down here. Which is another dimension, by the way. We'll get to that. But yes, dimensions are not separate. They always work together. They cannot be working independently. But they all have a different flavor and a different frequency that they're vibrating at. Just like a light that is transmitted through a prism splits into all the different colors of the rainbow. And on one end of the spectrum, on a denser frequency, we have the red light spectrum. When you go to the other end of it, we have the violet lights at a higher frequency, which doesn't make the violet light better than the red, or the red more evil than the violet. So just to give you an idea, also they're all contained within the white light. Without all of those colors, white light would not be white light. Does that make sense? So same with the dimensions. The first dimension, you could say, is unity consciousness. You might also call it the superconscious, perhaps. It's the I am presence, where we haven't fully differentiated yet, where we are still fully enmeshed in the pure potentiality of it all. So that is one multidimensional aspect that is part of all of us. All of us. In the second dimension, we're splitting into duality, which is our experience here on Earth. And by the way, we need duality to have any kind of experience. Without that sense of polarity and the whole spectrum in between, we can't experience anything. So that's the second dimension. And again, we all have duality inherent in our being. We can all tap into that. And we frequently do when we judge something. Third dimension, we already talked about. It's our matter, our physical incarnation. The fourth dimension is time. It's not linear. It bends. It's fluid. Anything exists at the same time, if you will, depending on what we put our focus on. It's like the dreamscape, where we jump around without any kind of sequence or logic to it. And in our dreams, we typically don't even think twice about it. So that's the astral plane. It's also a very emotional plane. And it's the world of our daydreams, by the way. And I heartily encourage daydreaming, because that is where a lot of the power happens, the magic happens. So in one sense, that's a place we all go to very frequently. And again, it's full of potential. It's pre-matter. And this is where we can catch ourselves when we find that we're not really happy with what's going on in our lives. So let's go back to the fourth dimension and see if we can not perhaps change the story. Because again, it's a pre-matter reality that we all can tap into. And then it takes our focus and our emotions, our feeling sense, to bring it into incarnation, into physicality, into matter, and into a real physical experience. That's what our life is all about, our experience. That is our whole and sole purpose. So often we feel trapped in time and space here in this third dimension. And we just want to get the heck out of here. It feels like a prison. And if we can rewire that attitude and really see time and space as a vehicle for having an experience. It's like going from reading all those beautiful, exciting adventure novels to actually going out there and having an adventure yourself. Go traveling. Be that Indiana Jones hunting down the treasures. That's what we're doing down here. And hey, we might as well have fun with it. Right? That's up to us. It's absolutely within our reach. So again, that's a dimensionality we can all access easily, and we already do a lot. Now, talking about the fifth dimension, which is being talked about a lot when you are on this ascension path, quote unquote. And it's where we're headed. It's where we already are. The fifth dimension is not a place that we get to when we have succeeded in learning our lessons. The fifth dimension is an experience that we can tap into, and we do. It's an inner shift in awareness. It's a choice. And it's the place where we get to fully experience unconditional love, which also means non-judgment. So now we are leaving behind this reality of duality that is pretty much running our lives, where we always have to judge something as good or bad or anything in between. Again, it's all about the experience, right? And duality then makes room for this whole perception of everything that's in between. The full color spectrum that lies in between, right or wrong, good or bad, male or female, you name it. So the fifth dimension, again, it's the place of unconditional love, non-judgment. It's where we tap into our higher guidance. And again, it's available to all of us, but it does take some house cleaning, which brings us back to CHET, to our emotional body, to our choices. What do we make of it? Yes, it is about really enjoying our physical incarnation with all the pleasures that it brings, that having a body brings. But it's also about using or coming from a place of integrity, of not overindulging in the physical and getting lost in it, in all the temptations, using it as a distraction to numb out. CHET wants to numb out often because it is so sensitive, so empathic, so emotional, that it can be really hard to live in a dense world like this. So again, it's all about our choices. What do we make of our experience down here? What do we choose? I'm being shown once again this image of being wrung out like a sponge, where the last dregs of water are being expelled. Speaking of water, I noticed that for the last 4 episodes, we've been working with the water element. TAV and CHET are both associated with the water element. So here we're talking about emotions. We're talking about flow, the feminine, which is all about the receptive stage, the incubation stage. So on one hand, we've been receiving so much inner insights and ideas and visions. And on the other hand, we're still sitting with it. In a lot of ways, we're still incubating. We're still germinating the seeds. And we're creating the ideal environment for these seeds to sprout and grow and mature. And a lot of these seeds have been sprouting quite happily, quite excitedly. And they're not fully mature yet to fully show themselves in the world, perhaps. Or perhaps, in some cases, the world is not quite ready for them. Either way, it's a call to patience and to trust. And also, again, reconnecting in with the nature of things. Everything in nature is cyclical. Everything has its time and timing that is appropriate for it. And that, again, comes back to the innate wisdom of nature, including our bodies, our physical bodies, that knows what it needs and even how to go about resetting that inner equilibrium. And in the same way, our ideas, our visions have their own wisdom that knows when it's time to start sprouting, to poke their heads out of the soil, to start growing towards the light. So timing is another theme here. Trusting, relaxing and surrendering into the not knowing when that's the case. Surrendering is a big word, and it always is, as is acceptance of what is. But that does not mean to get stuck there. It does not mean that we don't keep dreaming and visioning and taking our steps when we have the inner guidance and impulse to do so. And then release it, surrender it, and trust in that divine unfolding, that inner wisdom that will take the lead and lead us exactly to where we need to be, whenever we need to be there. There's a lot here about not knowing how it will all unfold. And that's really beautiful. Because I feel that it's going to be so much better than we could really envision when we are still holding on even a little bit to our past experiences and what that has shown us about what might be possible. In other words, the limitations that most of us are still carrying around to some degree. And if we allow that to be squeezed out of us right now, by paying attention to our emotions, for example, also our mental state, the thoughts that keep coming up, feelings of unworthiness, feelings of it's too good to be true, feelings like it's only a dream, I could never do that, whatever it is that's coming to the surface now, or the fears of survival. When you look at your bank account and you have to take a deep breath to get yourself through that anxiety attack that wants to come on. You know, this is such an exciting time. So that squeezing out might include your bank account. Maybe you're literally being squeezed to the last drop and you just have to keep breathing, keep surrendering, keep trusting that you're just making room for something so much better because it is right around the corner. Right around the corner. Actually, it's not even that. It's already within us. That's even more potent. It's right here in our core. And what we're doing right now is we're coming into full coherence and alignment with that inner vision and reality. Yeah? That's what's really happening. So last week I was getting this image, and that's actually been really helpful for me, of this taproot. The taproot, send it out into that bigger vision, into the space, the fourth dimensional dream space, where you can already feel that new reality. You can also send it into the fifth dimension, wherever you want to send it, where you can feel this powerful alignment with your higher truth, with your higher being, with your multidimensional being and expression of self. And make it real. Bring it home right here into this body, into this experience. And if for you multidimensionality brings up the thoughts of being connected with other star systems, or perhaps an archetypal god or goddess aspect, or whatever it is, go with that. Again, just another perspective, right? Nothing wrong with it. That's beautiful. Tap into that. Whether that is your Pleiadian future self or your strong affinity with Kuan Yin, whatever it is, do tap into that. It's all energy. It's all available to us right here, right now. But then what do you do with it? Don't leave it there in those higher dimensions. Bring it down here. Make space for it to incarnate and embody within your reality. Make it real. Claim it. Claim it. And we do that by really stepping into that energy. And before we can do that, we need to do some house cleaning. Clear out those old cobwebs of stagnant beliefs and limitations. Clear those windows, open them up to get some light and fresh air in, some new perspectives, an open mind. Clear out your body so you feel healthy and radiant, and you have energy to really utilize those energies and frequencies coming into you now, your multidimensional aspects of self. They are all a part of you. And just like the dimensions do not exist in and of themselves separate from another, you know, our body is a part of that. It's included in that paradigm. Our physical bodies do not just exist in the physical 3D reality. Our physical bodies are part spirit. The DNA is the spiritual essence captured in the physical body. So our bodies are spirit. Work with that. Include it in this beautiful journey that can be an adventure, and it can be so much fun if we allow ourselves to open up our minds and hearts to that experience fully and commit to it. So I think I'm going to leave it here. I'm sure there was a lot that came through this morning in my meditation that I didn't speak on, but there's always another episode. So I hope what I said makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, if I kind of lost you there, send me a comment and I'll do my best to clarify. So everyone, have fun with this one. It's getting better and better. And right now, it might be a little uncomfortable. It might be a little exhausting. It might be a little intimidating, daunting. But we're really right there at the threshold, at the edge. Let's take that leap and see where it leads. But let's take it with judicious discernment and with a sense of adventure, and also with patience and trust. But we don't need to know what's on the other side of that leap. We just need to hear and feel the calling and step out when we feel it's the right time. All right, everyone. I'll leave it for that for this week, and I'll be with you again next week. Take care and enjoy.